Right, in the previous lesson we've combined the shapes together to create new shapes, and we've also looked at cutting holes through all of the geometry. Now we're going to ramp it up a little bit by creating complex geometries using all of those elements, but maybe not drawing everything in, but imagining it. Say for instance we've got a cube that's like this, and we want to, right, so, oh, that's rough. Let's quickly fix that up. So we've got a cube here, and we want to create almost like a tabletop or a lip in it. So we want to create the illusion that it's cut into this. So let's draw that up like that. And then we want to create the illusion that there's a bevel, a round bevel cut into this. So create a half a curve in there, and then bring it forward. So complete the picture. Now we want to imagine that there's a tube shape in there as well. And we bring it forward. Okay, and everything facing us will always have straight lines. So you won't try to draw a round line in here because it's facing us. That corner is facing us and will be straight. So you don't need to draw straight lines in there, round lines in there. All of these will be straight. Okay, let's give it another big curve in here and a big curve in here. So whatever you do on this side, you repeat on this side. But there's a trick to this. You don't need to do all of this if it's a symmetrical shape like this. So forget about that side and let's just focus on this side. So let's imagine that we've got a bevel cut into this, coming forward like this, and then this one forward. All right, and then we've got something that protrudes in here, from here, coming forward and coming forward like this. Right, and to make this a little bit more discernible or easier to understand, let's put in some shading. So I'm going to put the brush's opacity to 20%, rotate it slightly so that I can work easier. I'm going to make it slightly darker underneath this lip, and then lighter again. Okay, and because this is a round tube, it's going to have a highlight, slightly darker at the bottom. And then because this lip or round tube is casting a shadow, it's going to be much darker underneath. Like so. All right. Okay, lighter. And then this front facing part, because less light's reaching this part, I'm going to make slightly darker. The same for this front facing part. Maybe the same here. Make it slightly darker at the front. And then this casts a shadow again. So I'm just going to make it much darker underneath there. And lighter on the lip, on the edge there, and then darker at the front again. So you can see how you can create complex shapes just following the principles that we've used before. Now, like I said, we've drawn this in a symmetrical way, so there's an easy way to flip this over. Make sure that you've got your masked layer selected, then make sure you've got the rectangular marquee tool selected, then draw a selection to about there. Then using the move tool, hold Alt in, click and drag across, shift to make sure that it stays in line, And then while you've got your selection still active, press Ctrl T on the keyboard, right click, flip horizontal, press enter, and move it in place. Ctrl D. And that's how you create complex shapes like that. All right, but you can make it a little bit more complex even still. So let's duplicate that. Control A to delete the layer mask or the drawing, and let's continue. I'm just going to have a bit of fun in here. So let's see, imagine we've got like a circle coming in here. Circle like that, and it goes in, right, and it's got a almost like a tube in there, and then let's have a cube coming out of this, but it's going all the way down. So, and let's now it needs to follow the shape of my drawing underneath, right? But let's draw another cube coming forward like this, and instead of taking it all the way straight in, I'm just gonna round it out like that, and then let's take it this way as well. Okay, and round it out like that, and that way again. Right. So you see how you can quickly make complicated shapes. All right, let's give this a bit of shading as well. So darker, lighter, 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 darker, darker, lighter to the top. Dark in front. Let's delete that. Let's delete that. Let's delete that. So you see, I'm just having fun, just playing around, fooling around with shapes, and there's nothing planned about this. Just draw shapes and let the randomness of it guide you. Oops. Okay, a bit of shading there, a bit of shading here, a bit of shading. Let's pull that and then make this darker underneath here as well. Right. Now you'll see, okay, let's make this 100% again. And these two are fighting for attention now. But we want to make this one transparent. Oh, what we also want to do is we want to flip this one around as well. Control D, then duplicate that. Control J, Control T, flip it horizontal. Enter. Let's move this in place. Let's move it to there. You could even have duplicates of this on the same level. So shift. Let's do that. I like that. So now, because all of this is on layer masks and it's going to be hard to, you will have to erase that, and then once you make a mistake, you can't undo it. So I'm going to put that in its own group layer. So Control G, then add a layer mask to that. Then make sure you've got the layer mask selected, and then using the eraser tool, I can remove whatever I want not to be seen, like that, from underneath this this object that I've drawn. So I can erase that. But this part is going underneath this shape that I've got here. So put that also in its own group layer. You can do it here as well, or you can press Ctrl G, then create a layer mask for it, and then erase the part. So erase that part that you don't want to be to see. Okay, do it for every layer. Ctrl G. So this one is this one. For this one, I want to erase that part there and the top part there. So let's remove that. For this one, I also want to remove the top part, and I think that's it for that one. And then we're back at the bottom cube shape again to remove these parts. So we want to remove that to make the shape in front of the cube shape that we've got here. Right. So if you've mistakenly erased something, all you need to do is press X on the keyboard. So black will remove, well, no, black will add if you've got the eraser selected, and white will remove if you've got the eraser selected. It's the other way around if you've got the brush selected. Okay, so that's how you draw complex shapes using the same principle. It's basically the same thing over and over again. We keep using the same objects that I've shown you in the beginning lessons. It's still only a cube. It's still only cubes that we draw. Well, let's make that 100%. So it's still only cubes or boxes that we draw. It's still only cylinders or tubes that we draw. You look at that part there, and this part here is also still just cubes or boxes. And the same for this part going forward, it's only a box. And that rounded part is back to the circle or cylinders that we've drawn before. And then it's just erasing the guidelines. If you keep thinking in terms of the simple shapes, these simple shapes, and just combining all of that together, it will be much easier to create very, very complex shapes and complex objects by just using simple shapes and then compiling them together. I hope this makes sense. I hope to see you in the next lesson.